Hello and welcome to Flower Juice. My name is John McDonald and today I'm going to show you how to make a wrist corsage and also how to attach the wrist corsage to the bracelet. So what we've got here is we've got some nice little ivy leaves, I've got some French ruskus leaves, and the flower that we're going to use is this Dendrobium orchid. So the Dendrobium orchid is an ideal flower for a corsage. They're quite light, they're quite special, and they really just make a very pretty corsage because they're quite floral. I've also got some rose wires, and we've got a range of different bracelets here. So what you find is that you can buy pre-made bracelets in different sizes, so you can get them quite wide or quite narrow. These ones are by Corsage Creations, this one's by Oasis, so there's different ones. These I think are country baskets, but they all have similar fixings. Some come with no fixing, so like this Diamante one has no fixing at all. You can use just a generic bracelet, so this one has no fixing, but most of them have these little ribbon, little rows, and when you unwrap that you find that you've got ties, so we're going to look at that. This one on the other hand has like a metal plate, so the difference with that is if I'm making a corsage, I would tend to make the corsage sit across the wrist. But if you're going to use this one and use this plate, essentially what it's asking you to do is to make your corsage go up and down the wrist rather than across. So you need to check on the bracelet that you're going to use before you make your corsage, because that might make it, you might want to make it in a different way. Generally, I wouldn't tend to use that. I would just trim these off or fold them over, and I would still attach my corsage across the way. So you could leave it there but not necessarily use it, but at least you've still got the bracelet. So for putting together our corsage, what I've done is I've just pre-prepared our flowers. So we've got some buds, we've got some foliage, we've got some kind of medium flowers and bigger flowers, and I've also made a couple of little bows. And now we can just start to put this together. So I'm going to use one leaf first just to create a point, and I'm going to add in a couple of buds. So what you want to think about is when you're doing your corsage and it's for a wrist, you sometimes want to put more flowers in it, a little bit more concentrated. So we're going to make this on a curve. So maybe you want to, instead of spacing things out as you would when it's flat, you want to put things a little bit closer so that as you make that curve, they sit in a better way. So we've added a couple of buds and we've made essentially like a little unit. I'm just going to bring in a leaf on this side. So we don't need to twist this, we can just lie the stems parallel and then use our tape just to hold that in place. So now I'm looking for another bud, but a little bit bigger, and we're just going to bring that into that side. So really what we're going to do is we're going to take our flowers and stage them down across. Now this is a good opportunity to do the bow, and the bow, sometimes actually adding a bow is a good way of bringing in a colour if you want a colour, or adding volume. So we can pop that in, and I'm just going to work my way down. So really from the back, it's going to be very neat and very simple. And I'm just bringing in an orchid there. So as you can see, the ribbon is just acting as a support. But you might want to use a different filler flower, like a little bit of limonium or something else that would act with a little bit of volume. And we're just taping this again. So I'm going to come again on this side with another leaf. So I think the French ruskus gives you a nice shape for the tip of a corsage and for maybe coming back at the end, but the ivy leaves always give you a nice shape for the centre of the corsage. Because they're rounded, they give you a bit of support underneath. And I think this is a good time now to come in with this ribbon. I'm just putting a little twist on the wire just because it helps hold it on. But really the thing that's holding it is the tape. So as I say, a ribbon is quite a good way of bringing in another colour, because sometimes people ask for flowers in colours that you just can't get. So like royal blue. The best way to bring in a royal blue into a corsage is to use a ribbon, and then that really solves that problem. So what I've done here is I've just started to turn these flowers round the other way so that they're facing back, and that kind of completes it really. So we could just stagger the flowers down all facing one way, but actually turning them round and going the other way works really quite well. So I can bring in a bud and another bud. And if you want, you can add in other little decorative features like diamantes. That's quite pretty. So if you're wanting to make it more special, that's quite nice. Or you can do pearls, but maybe they're a little old-fashioned. Depends what you're ultimately wanting. And the look of your corsage will change depending on the flowers that you use. So you might want to just pick lots of smaller flowers like this with the orchids, or you might want to choose, say, 2 good-sized flowers like gerbera or germini, and that'll give you a bolder look. But essentially you're only needing 2 flowers. But then in some ways the foliage for them becomes important because that's the main support. So I want to just tape this off. And really from the back then we've got quite a neat look. We're just going to trim this. Now I've trimmed it and I'm just going to go over it once more with the tape, and that just seals the end of any wires. And that's really our corsage. So we've got the ruskus at one end, the ruskus at the other, and it sits nicely across the wrist. And we've got this main stem underneath. So we don't need those extra leaves. And now what we need to do is look at a bracelet. So if we look at this bracelet, what we can do is we can unpick this rose. And it always has a little bit of tape, which is a bit annoying. But what you've got here is you've got 2 pieces of ribbon that have been tied through the bracelet, and essentially you've got that. Now on the back of there you can see like a little panel which is like a support on the inside. So what you can do is you can basically take the 2 at one end and the 2 at the other end, and what we would do is we would go through the corsage and tie it, and that works really, really well. But what I quite like to do is, to me, these are a little bit too close together. So I would take them away. We don't really need them. And actually we don't really need that neither. And what I like to do is take a wire. So all I've done is taken a rose wire and just taped it off. So this is basically giving it a little bit of a binding just on the surface, but it's also making it more secure. And we can feed that through. On the back, and we can put that through. So essentially we're making the same thing as the ribbon, but we're making it a little bit more secure because it's a wire. And then we can also make it a little bit wider. So straight away we have got more space to place our corsage. So really what we're going to do is it's going to be quite footery to see, is I'm going to feed my wire through the back, there, and then through the back here. And then we can basically bring our other wire together. So I've got both sides together. So now I can twist them off, and the same with this one. I can bring it together and twist it off now. You might not want these just quite so wide apart, but what I'm going to do is I've twisted them, I'm going to cut it, and then just fold that back on itself. And then this one, again, we put a few twists so we can make a bit of a tail, cut it, and then just make sure that wire is into the corsage. And it's as simple as that. So essentially, we can now just adjust our leaves and our flowers, and that's the corsage. Now, if you were to make this and try it on, you're actually going to push this corsage bracelet out of shape. They're very easy to make them look untidy by trying them on. So if it's for someone or it's for a gift, don't try it on, just put your corsage on and then box it and present it. Don't try the bracelet on because you will stretch it and put it out of shape. And it's as simple as that. So we've got a simple corsage that will be comfortable to wear on a very simple bracelet. That's as easy as that. And the good thing about using the wire is, you know, it's 100% secure and you don't need to worry about it at all, rather than the ribbon. Now you can have the ribbon tied in the middle. Again, it's the same problem of trying to feed through to one side and then tie it. But I think having the wire underneath really gives you the security for attachment. So that's the way I would do it. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you want to keep up to date with all our other videos, then please click here, and thank you for watching.